Our greetings should always be pleasant with a smile. Hi, may I help you? Hi, may I help you? And we know we yell.
Hi, may I help you?
Hi, may I help you?
Hi, may I help you?
When we say hi, may I help you, it is to let people know that I see you.
You sincerely mean, hi, may I help you, when you say it.
It's not just the movie stars that may come in every now and then, or the presidents that may come in. Is that customer, is that neighbor, is that community person that comes in every day. We wouldn't be here for 80 years if they didn't support us for 80 years.
Ollie Gates and his dad, mainly his dad at the time, bought a little restaurant down in the Jazz District. It is now Gates Barbecue.
And at that time, barbecue was not cosmopolitan. It wasn't attractive. It wasn't the place to be.
He's a force of nature. He's a great man. And when you're in his presence, you feel his leadership.
You know, when he walks in the room, you know he's in the room.
The air and the molecules change in the room when you know you're in the presence of someone who has done and overcome many great things in his life.
Create and build east of Truce. He is obsessed with it. There's no such thing as an accidental Gates restaurant or a Gates Economic Development Project. When you see it, you can see Ollie Gates.
Businesses lead a city by being engaged in the community that they're in, which is what Gates has done wherever he has a barbecue restaurant.
Mr. Ollie Gates is one of the most successful businessmen in Kansas City. With that success, however, comes a great inherent responsibility that he willingly took on to be a steward of this community.
He's interested in talking to the Royals about where we put our baseball stadium. In those conversations, what comes out is, I think, why we're honoring him here and how he cares about people and how he cares about neighborhoods. We sat on a board together, it's probably 25 or 30 years ago, I think it was Mark Twain Bank, when we took this ride to look at this site here recently. I said, I don't know if you remember this, Ollie, but at the time, you were the largest depositor and I was the largest borrower at that bank. And I think I said to you, I want to trade places with you, so.
I think the most important lesson is that if you're willing to invest and maintain commercial properties, you can dramatically change the quality of neighborhoods. And that's very evident in all the areas where Gates has operations.
From 12th and Brooklyn, for instance, that used to be the downtrodden side of town. Well, my dad went in and cleaned it up, meaning he built enterprises, commerce, retail spaces for people to come in. So with doing that, you have to tear down some buildings, you have to sweep the ground.
You have to keep your property clean, you have to keep it well managed, you have to keep it well groomed, you have to keep it well lit, you have to keep it secure so people can feel comfortable. My dad has said in order to protect your property, you have to branch out in the community and keep all of it clean.
You got to control what's around you. So we had the restaurant sitting 47th and Paseo, but there was a service station right here that influenced the restaurant. So how do we stop that from influencing except the way we want to? Buy it. Okay, now behind that, there's another building. Okay, let's buy that building. It just grew like that. It evolved.
When I was mayor, on the first day, by the way, the TV stations called the race. My first appointment was Ollie Gates to ask him to be the chair of the park board, which is the plum in municipal government.
There were a number of things that we worked on, but there are two items that exist today that would not be there without Mr. Gates' approval. One of them is the Kansas City Zoo. The other one is the Kansas City Starlight. Both of those things were needing money from the city council that they did not get. And Mr. Gates, Mr. DiCapo, and I decided to ask the public to sell bonds for the zoo. So we can thank Ollie Gates quite a bit about that.
He obviously had business along the boulevards in the city, so he knew how important it was for the boulevards and parkways to prosper in our city. And so we worked with the Corps of Engineers to do all the improvements along Brush Creek. Flood control, number one, but also beautification along with it. If the Corps did it, it was going to be just a big concrete ditch running through the city. But now it has beautification, it has sidewalks, it has lighting, it has landscaping. Mr. Gates was a huge part of that.
We were trying to figure out what to do with Liberty Memorial. In the 1980s, the whole structure was on the verge of collapse. He did not want to be the chair of the park board and do nothing. He came in and he said, Rev, we need to put something on the ballot in order to save Liberty Memorial. And they approved it overwhelmingly.
You know, if you think about that area there, that's become kind of the iconic symbol of Kansas City, right? I think Mr. Gates, it goes beyond those types of symbols, you know. I think there's lots of role models in this town that I certainly looked up to, people like Ewing Kauffman and Henry Block, but I think he walks with them.
To see how he rallied the community around the restoration of the Purcell YMCA. It happens to be the birthplace of the Negro Leagues. That's where the Negro Leagues were established on February 13, 1920. And we had long designated it as the future home of the Buck O'Neill Education and Research Center. I watched one of the most successful businessmen in Kansas City put on his overalls, put on his boots, grab a wheelbarrow, and he was in there moving debris. What happens? If the community saw Ollie Gates moving debris, well, doggone it, we need to go in there and help move debris.
Mr. Gates would come to some of my gigs down at the Blue Room. You know, Mr. Gates is a huge jazz aficionado. He had a club as well as the director of jazz studies. But UMKC, Mr. Gates also blessed me with a scholarship yearly for a promising student. We established the Ollie Gates Scholarship. There was one time I was at the Gates over there off of Main, and we were sitting and we were talking. I said, you know, Mr. Gates, I'm gonna do a barbecue suite in your honor.
So funny, he said, they just want to take pictures of me now because I'm old. I said, Dad, you just don't have any idea what people really think of you.
Mr. Gates is in his 90s now, and he's still engaged.
He's still working hard now.
He still is the last person basically to leave the restaurant across the street.
To continue his legacy, after this interview is over, I'm going around the corner and get me some barbecue.
When it's not Gates, if another barbecue shows up at the house for some strange reason, I smother it with Gates sauce.
I was in an election for the park board. Someone said, who in the world do you think is for all of this? And I said, well, my first supporter is Ollie Gates. And someone else stood up and said, well, if Mr. Gates is for it, we may as well vote for it. And it passed.
My dad, Ollie Gates, loved Kansas City.
I thank you for being my brother. I mean, because I don't have a brother, and he doesn't have a brother. No matter what he says, he's gonna be my brother the rest of my life.
Mr. Gates would say that the two most important Kansas Cityans ever were H. Roe Bottle and Buck O'Neill. I'd have to add a third name in that equation, Ollie Gates.